Hello, this is Dean from Bridgeview Manufacturing, and today I'd like to talk to you about our Bale King 5300 series bale processor. The 5300 is our standard model. It's a twin roller design with a capacity of two 6-foot round bales. The twin roller machines they're simple, there's very few moving parts, they're easy to maintain, and they're just built to be a reliable workhorse. This particular model is outfitted with all the options. It's got the TR grain tank, the optional 3-Bale Kit, backup camera, and about the only thing it's missing is our optional fine chop kit. So this video is meant to be a fairly detailed walk-around video for customers in their final stages of decision making. Hopefully I can answer some of your questions by just walking around and just talking about the features and benefits of this machine. So up front, we run a cast hitch, and there is an optional clevis insert for straight drawbar tractors. It's adjustable in height for various tractors, and that's just to keep the forks level for loading purposes. We run a square jack stub just to take pressure off the jack pin. And all these machines come with standard safety chains and road lights. The Driveline is a 1000 RPM constant velocity PTO shaft with shear bolt protection. And we've gone through great lengths to design the machine with a fairly level driveline. And the level driveline just helps promote better CV and U-joint life, as well as better shear pin life. The PTO shaft goes into the gearbox. The gearbox reverses the direction of the rotor to give you right-hand discharge. And that just puts the output of the machine on the same side as your tractor controls. It's a lot more ergonomic and just makes the machine a lot nicer to run over the course of the day. We like gearboxes at Bridgeview just because they're low maintenance and there's nothing to adjust. It's a rugged system. And relative to chains and belts, there's no tension adjustments to make or anything like that. A base 5300 requires 3 hydraulic remotes. There's the bale rollers, the loading fork, and the main deflector. This machine with the grain tank and the 3-Bale Kit requires 2 more sets of remotes. But we offer optional electric over hydraulic diverter valve kits, which can reduce it from 4 to 3 to 2 sets of remotes. The bale rollers are direct drive by independent hydraulic motors, and the valve block in between is the divider valve, so it splits oil evenly between the 2 motors. And this valve features both flow and pressure protection. These motors only require so much flow and pressure to achieve their maximum torque, and most modern tractors can output far more than these motors need. So the relief valves in that block just prevent you from blowing the seals out on the motors if your tractor's set a little too high. But of course, we always recommend taking the time to set the flow controls on your tractor as per our operator's manual, and that's just going to prevent extra heat in the hydraulic system. This lever here is the main aggression control, and it raises and lowers the grate above the rotor inside the processing tub. New for the 5300, we've added a lot of travel to this adjustment over earlier models. It's a single lever adjustment, wide range of travel for anything from like a dry straw bale to a wet silage bale. It's one-handed control, and it's on the same side of the machine as your tractor door, so it's quick to climb out, make your adjustment, and get back in and get back to work. The grain tank is a 40 bushel grain tank, side mounted, and it can be added at any time, so it doesn't need to be installed at the factory. It basically clamps to the frame, mount the augers, and connect the hydraulics, and you're good to go. The grain tank is it's a great way to get more out of your feed. You can top dress your hay with any kinds of grains, and you know, it's a simple way to deliver that extra energy out to your cows. So it's a twin auger system. There's an auger in the bottom that pulls the grain to the back of the tank, and then there's a cross auger that goes across the back between the tub and the fork to deliver grain on top of the windrow or into a bunk. These are hydraulically driven augers, and they're totally independent of the bale processing unit itself. So they're not ground driven, and it doesn't go through the tub. So we like the hydraulic system just for the flexibility of it. You don't have to be moving. You can dispense grain, like just, you know, you can use your processor just to take grain out to your cows and dump grain directly into the bunks or into a pile. Just gives you lots of flexibility. We include a flow control valve just to give you a means of controlling your dispensing rate. We've got a very large lid for easy loading. And inside the tub, we run large augers. Like the output auger is a 6-inch flighting, so it's built to handle grains, pellets, or even range cubes. We run large flotation tires. These are 16.5 by 16.1 12-ply tires on 8-bolt hubs, so they're going to give you good flotation in soft conditions. At the back of the machine, this is the loading fork and the new Generation 2 Three-Bale Kit. The loading fork functions the same as earlier models. It's just the tapered uprights give clearance for the new style Three-Bale Kit. The loading forks are straight tip forks, and we tend to prefer the straight tip forks over curved tips because we think they're a little bit more forgiving as far as misalignment when you're backing up. They're less likely to skew the bale sideways if you're a little off center, and it just hopefully saves you a few attempts at realigning if the bale, you know, turns sideways on you. The forks have 2 different positions on each side, so for a normal 6-foot round bale, they'll be in their outer position, but if you're working with smaller, like 4-foot silage bales, you can just pull a pin and move the forks to their inner pocket, and you'll load those narrow bales properly. The Three-Bale Kit is it's a huge time saver, especially if you're putting out a lot of bales, or if you have to haul your bales a long distance to get to your cows. It's a simple system. There's not a lot to it. It's reliable. And the nice thing is that it fits on a standard size machine. The wheelbase on this machine is identical to a standard 2-bale machine, so you maintain all of your normal barnyard maneuverability that you're used to. The Generation 2 kit it functions the same as the original system. We've just simplified it. We've always required a hydraulic lockout system to prevent the forks and the clamps from hitting each other under certain circumstances. It doesn't happen under normal operation, but you can put them into a position where they could hit. So we've always had a lockout valve that'll stop the forks from going up if the clamps are all the way in. As far as simplifying this valve, what we've done is put both of the clamp arms on this rock shaft that goes all the way across the machine. This rock shaft is on a Torflex style suspension system that just puts downward pressure on the clamp arm in this slotted hole. Now, if anything whatsoever should put upward pressure on the 3-bale arms, the rock shaft is just going to roll up, and the hinge bushing is just going to push the pin on the lock valve and stop your forks. A common possibility where that might happen is, just say you've got a bale in the 3-bale clamps and a bale on your main loading forks, and you go to lift your loading forks without releasing the clamps. If you do that at this point, all it's going to do, like I said, the bale on the clamps is just going to roll forward, tip this up, push the lock pin, and stop your fork from going up any further to the point of causing any damage. So just a simple system. There's the adjustment on it is really simple. There's going to be no adjustment required for the life of the machine, and simplicity is just usually equates to reliability. This machine also has the optional backup camera kit, and that is a real lifesaver, especially in 3-bale machines. You'll find lots of times you'll pick up 1 or 2 bales out of one stack and then have to move to a third or a second stack to pick up your last bale. And the tractor mirrors just don't reach around enough to see behind you. So with the camera, you've got just a perfect view of your loading forks, and you never miss. You don't have to worry about it. You back up to the bale the first time every time. You never have to get out to make sure you got the bale, and you don't have to worry about driving all the way out to the cows just to find out that you never did have the third bale in the first place. So it's a very well worth it for that camera. Looking inside the tub, the 5300 has some changes over the 5200 and even prior to that. I guess the changes aren't that noticeable on first glance, but they really do make a difference as far as overall ease of use and throughput of the machine versus like the 5100s and even the 5200 models. So there's been changes to the valves, the motors, the bale rollers. For example, the 5300 runs wide paddles on all 4 sides, whereas earlier models had either spikes or a combination of spikes and paddles. But the paddles provide all the traction you need, but they're not prone to wrapping hay around them, which, if the rollers ball up with hay, eventually they're going to stall out and you'll have to reverse to clear the ball out. The hoops themselves are, it's a combination of long tip hoops and short tips, and just the general shape of them has been improved over earlier models. The long hoop prevents the core from going through it. It just prevents wads of hay from going through. But having every second hoop short like that dramatically improves the throughput and productivity. The sidewalls are very steep, so it provides good clean out at the end of the bale. The tops are tipped in just keeps the loose fluff inside the tub. And the 5300 series, we've done a lot to improve bale containment, so that includes things like the screen on the front of the machine, this panel at here that it works to contain material as well as it guides the bales in from the 3-Bale Kit. And we've got flares on the back of the tub to contain material in the back corners. From this view, you can see the position of the discharge auger, so it's just ideal for top dressing windrows or bunk feeding. Coming under the machine, just have a look at the heart of the machine. All our machines feature our patented X-Rotor, and the X-Rotor is there for 2 reasons. First is ease of twine removal. As the rotor spins, it's going to collect net or twine around it very tightly, and the X just creates a pocket in behind that it gives you room to cut it out with a knife or a sawzall, or I've seen a lot of different ways people do it over the years, but no matter what, the X just gives you a lot more room to work, so it simplifies that. The second reason is for metal fatigue. Most rotors are made out of a piece of pipe, and what happens if the flail hits something solid, it's going to come back and impact the pipe right about halfway through its stroke. And over time, those constant impacts will eventually fatigue the pipe and cause a crack. And those cracks are very hard to fix because these rotors are balanced at 1,000 to 1,500 RPM, and welding always throws them out of balance. Whereas with the X-Rotor, with that pocket in behind, the flail can swing way back further to the point where it either doesn't hit at all, or because the centrifugal force is already trying to bring the flail back out, the hit is going to be very mild. So it really improves or reduces the impact forces of the flail hitting the rotor. The flails themselves are 3/4 by 1.5 inch flails. They're very heavy, and they ride on oil impregnated bushings. This machine, all 5300s have standard hydraulic deflectors, so you can raise and lower the deflector right from your cab. And the rubber flap on the deflector is another feature I'd like to talk about. So for windrowing or bunk feeding, you want the deflector in its downwards position, and it just locks in this groove to hold it down. However, in bedding applications, there's times where you really need precise control over where you place that straw. And an example would be if you're bedding into a calf shed or something like that. In that case, you'll come over, unlock it, flip the rubber on top, and then you've got a very smooth underside surface here of the deflector that if you raise and lower it hydraulically, it'll place that straw exactly where you want it. It works really well. On the 5300, the top surface of the deflector, we've smoothened it out just to minimize chaff buildup. And we've also reshaped the back in here, so when you raise this up, it opens up a gap that allows any chaff buildup to just drop out. So it's a self-cleaning deflector. Any machines fitted with electric over hydraulic diverter valve on the deflector circuit, we include a pilot operated check valve, and this just locks the deflector up in its upward position when you're parked overnight or unhooked. It just prevents the deflector from sagging down without any active hydraulic pressure to lower it. The 5300s, they're a proven model. It's a very heavy frame. I think the base machine is about 4,400 pounds, plus the grain tank and Three-Bale Kit and all the options. So it's just a durable, proven system. They're all finished with sandblasting and powder coating. The powder, it's an ultra durable powder coat, and it's very UV resistant and abrasion resistant, so it's going to keep your investment looking good for a long time. I hope I've been able to answer some of your questions on this machine. There's a wealth of extra information on our website, and including videos and photos, spec sheets. And beyond that, we'd really be happy if you would give one of our dealers a call, answer some questions, and hopefully get a quote. So thank you very much for your time.